What's up, guys? Welcome back to the JP and Trav show on the JP and Trav YouTube channel. As always, it's your host with the most, JP. To my bottom right here, we have my esteemed co-host, confidant, brother, friend, Travis J. Davison. Travis, how you feeling, man?
Man, I'm feeling great. Feeling refreshed from the bye week. Obviously, I went down to see old Shane Beamer before he had the broken foot. Got a boomer out of him during the Gamecock walk. So went down to South Carolina, went down to Georgia, have a good old bye week, but ready to resume some Sooner football. Couldn't be more excited about our guest.
Oh, yes, indeed. And as you guys know, as you saw on Twitter, our guest is none other than you guys know him as the Bullfrog, number 27 on the field, number one in your hearts. Also, leader of the I see it, leader of the podcast On the Prairie, Jeremiah Hall. Jeremiah, how you doing, man?
What's up, y'all? It is a pleasure. It is a pleasure.
That's a dope hoodie. Show that to the people again.
Yeah, man.
Hey, 9 times.
Released them, 2 years ago? We only made 50 of them.
Those are awesome.
Only made 50. Limited edition. Wait, hold on. Yep.
Oh, I see it.
We used to say,
around.
Yep.
Excuse me.
That is a fire. That's a fire statement. Drip or drown.
Yeah, man. Good old days. Now everything has completely changed. It's been fun. It has been fun.
Yeah. Update for those that may not make it over to the pod on the prairie all the time. Update us with what you got going on right now.
Man, so for me in life, I officially, I guess I don't have a specific date, but I guess I officially retired sometime in February. I got to figure out when the last time I texted my agent was, but I'm like, yo, man, this might be it. So during that entire time I was away from the Giants, I got cut last August. I was doing just researching, like, what would I do if football was over? So for those of you who don't know, my background is in business. I got my master's in business. So to make a long story short, though, I ended up getting connected with some people at Edward Jones, basically telling me what a financial advisor is and everything. And so I started that process in April. In April, I applied to be a financial advisor with Edward Jones. And so I didn't actually start studying for my securities exams and everything until July. And so I've taken SIE, which is like a prerequisite to our big exams, the 7 and the 66. So passed the 7, failed the 66 the first time, retook it earlier today down in Dallas.
I think I saw that on Twitter.
Yeah, I passed this time. And so my life literally for the past 4 months have just been studying Monday through Saturday, 6, 8, 10 hours a day. And I do that and watch a little bit of Sooner football and host these boys on the podcast. So that's my life. Oh, and I coach.
Right.
Yeah. So I could go on and on, man. There's so many stories, details, kids, just life is completely different now than it was for me like a few months ago, let alone a year and some change ago.
So, you brought up your master's. That's something that I always like to dive into. I mean, with Caleb, with Pat, with you, like just the importance. Like, how often do you talk to? I mean, I know you're not around the program a ton now, but like, given the opportunity to talk to any of the young guys or anything like that, or even like Danny and Jaron and those guys you've obviously become really close with, like, how often do you take the opportunity to say how important that side is and what an opportunity they have to get a free education? I know Pat used to tell me all the time, he's like, he'd get mad about it talking to me. He'd be like, man, I don't get it. He's like, this is free. He's like, free. They'll pay for everything. He's like, I got 2 masters. I got this, that, the other. I'm like, yeah, no, he's like, they'll pay you to go to school. Yep. Getting hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of education for free. I'm like, so do you ever, like, do you talk about that, whether it be with young athletes, whether it be with current players, or just, people in your life talking about, how you handled your athletic career while also making the most of your educational opportunities?
So it's difficult sometimes to explain to the average athlete that's at OU because you're concentrated on football so much, right? And you've been told your entire life, like, make connections. It's free. Like, even when you're in high school, like, you're told these things, but you don't necessarily understand the complete value of it until you're, a little bit removed, like I am. And I look at the connections I've made just over my time here, and I'm just like, wow, you know. And when you're there, it's like that's what you want to do, but there's no playbook for it. And so you just beat it into a guy's head, like, hey, like, this is what you do, this is how you do it. And when I'm there now, or whenever I talk to the young guys, for example, like Jordan Kelly, like, me and Caleb, we told him, or shoot, I think Pat told him too, like, go get your master's of business. So Caleb got him all set up with that. And I think Brian Mead, he hopped on that wave at one point. He went and got his master. So it's like, I think sometimes guys need to see it rather than someone just say, like, hey, go do this, go do that. Like, I think me, Pat, and Caleb did a good job of giving them a literal roadmap of, like, hey, if you're going to be there long enough, you might as well take advantage of all these opportunities. And so the guys see me on Twitter still, they see me on Instagram, and I'm always doing the podcast as much as I talk about it. So hopefully they're taking in some nuggets.
Well, and I think having Caleb, on staff, literally with the sole mission, like, I think that helps with that immensely, right? Because, I mean, you don't have to just be like, hey, looking for somebody to listen to you, right? Like, you don't have to do anything like that. Like, that's literally his job, is kind of that development of the person type situation. Do you think those conversations are, do you think those conversations are at least tougher to have with people who only think, hey, look, I'm going to the NFL, and they maybe think that, hey, look, I got the NFL, I won't need to fall back on anything. I mean, NFL stands for not for long, right? So it's like, with that, is it tough to communicate that? And do you have anybody that has ever bugged back, been like, well, I'm probably only be here 3 years anyways, or something like that?
Bro, that's how Perry on Winfrey. I ain't gonna lie. Like, some dudes, there are dudes who do not care about school, and more power to them. You know what I mean? Like, if that's the way you're gonna go, that's the way you're gonna go. Get it how you can. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's some people who grow up in situations where they could care less about school. I'm just being real with you. Now, I'm not saying that was Perry on exactly, but that's the attitude that he had. And shoot, he made it. He did his thing. I don't know if he's gonna get another shot or not. I don't know his personal situation. But another dude, Kenneth, you saw his goals whenever he first got there, leave after the third year. Now, I'm not saying like he doesn't want to come back and graduate. I'm pretty sure he finished, but you have those guys. So you can't tell everybody that. Now, for those of the ones who have those goals and aren't like ready for it, like, I'm always going to keep it a band with you. Like, hey, like, these are the statistics. This is where you're at. This is where I see you as somebody who's been there. And I don't sugarcoat it. I'm going to tell you the truth. So I tell kids that now in 7th and 8th grade, I'm like, look, I'm going to keep it real. Y'all not as good as some dudes around the country, but we going to get better, though, if J Hall going to be around. I do not sugarcoat it. You want to know if you're D1 or not, J Hall will come tell you.
Hey,
league bound.
That's important, man. I mean, and that's the thing. It's knowing that it's important, because then they can take other opportunities, right? They can take JUCO, they can take D2, they can take other things like that, because part of the problem is all these people, sometimes they're only surrounded by yes men, right? Or their moms or whoever. That's like, shout out all moms out
now
there.
Now that I've coached, it's the parents. Oh my gosh, it's the parents.
My baby's D1. My baby's D1. Like,
listen,
your baby can't spell D1, so he might need to hit the books. You know what I mean?
Man.
Listen.
Oh, bro, I just realized we had comments on this live.
Yeah.
I had it on the private chat.
JP, go ahead. He's gonna read for the next 20 minutes.
Yeah. No, I was just saying, Jerry, that bro, last year, I'll just tell a story real quick. I think I told us on the pod before. last year during our lettering ceremony for our basketball teams, I had a freshman who, last year, our basketball team got to regionals. They should have won regionals. Way more talented team we lost to, but it happens. Okay, so we had like 4 seniors, 4 juniors. He's a freshman. Okay, he's not a bad player, but I'm telling you, he's not playing college ball. Okay, he's decent, not playing college ball. He's lazy in practice. He really can't shoot right now. All these things. His dad, because he didn't get a letter, right? We have distinctions. Like you're not getting a letter if you didn't play at least half of the year. Like you didn't show up, in the book at least half of the year. That's what's in the handbook. That's our policy. Okay. So his dad, as soon as I stopped saying letters, stands up and goes, "Oh no, they disrespected you all year. We gone." His dad's like 70. So like it's weird. His dad's like 70 and he got cane and everything. He's like, "Oh no, we out of here," and just walks out. And I was standing there like, is he serious right now? Like
Yeah.
you mad because your freshman son didn't letter on a regional team? Like what are we talking about right now? So yes, the parents are insane, bro. They're
Man,
insane.
it's ridiculous. It
Truthfully.
truly is. You see where
Yeah.
honestly, I don't ask a kid very many questions. I'll ask them, what are your grades like in school? And they're like, mostly C's and B's or C's and D's. Like if they're not catching on to plays, I'm like, okay, that makes sense because you're not paying attention to these plays. And then I meet their parents. I'm like, oh, I see where it comes from, boy.
Yeah, you're like, that makes sense.
Apples
That
don't
makes
fall
sense.
far.
Oh,
Whew. Anyway,
that's
don't get me started, man. Hey, one of so somebody comment. I think it might have been Stutsman's Army. He's always commenting. Shout out to him. He's on here.
yeah,
Gunny.
I
Gunny.
think he said that I need to do my intro, or I think somebody said if I don't
Somebody
say
was,
yo
yeah,
yo yo,
somebody mad you didn't do the, yo yo yo.
what's up, Sooner fans?
Yeah,
Oh, I miss saying that, but I don't at
yeah.
the same time.
Worlds colliding. Worlds colliding for a lot of the people that consume Sooner content. There's no doubt about it. But yeah, I've always, I kind of see you, Pat. I mean, even being from Tulsa, like Pat used to take a bunch of the like he's always kind of had that like big brotherly type feel to him. You know what I mean? Because even in Tulsa,
Yeah.
like with Gentry and Robert Spears Jennings and Jaden
Mhm.
and like all those guys, like he always just anytime they had like a pair of gloves or something like that from OU, they're like, "Oh yeah, Pat got them for me." I'm like, "Of course he did." I'm like,
Yeah.
"This guy," like, but it's kind of cool because obviously like the Tulsa side doesn't get looked at as much obviously as the 405 and the DFW does in recruiting. So like Pat was almost like, "Hey man, I'm like the recruiting like regional recruiting guy for Tulsa while I'm on the team." So now that was a lot of fun, but
Bro, Pat's Pat's probably one of the first, or if not definitely the first person that's younger than me that I looked up to. Like
yeah.
he was my locker buddy, and I used to tell him like, bro, like I used to think I was pretty wise, which I still kind of think I do, not to my own horn or anything. But Pat's like, bro, you're a little different.
Yeah, I mean, even just conversations. I mean, and that's a guy that took advantage of his resources that were there available to him, right? I mean, like the opportunities that OU football brings you, right? Whether that's with administration, whether that's I mean, even doing like getting out to Stanford, like having connections out there, and he's like, man, I didn't go on a football scholarship. He's like, my academic scholarship was even better than my football one. So I went out there on academics. Like, I'm like,
Yeah,
that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, just take advantage of opportunities, no matter what they are. And Carl Albert just scored what looks like, at least the go-ahead touchdown with 45 seconds left. Kevin Sperry, corner of the end zone, touchdown to go up. So for those of you in the chat that aren't watching. And I appreciate you not watching. I appreciate you watching us, being here with us on this Thursday evening.
Of course, as they should be. Guys, we're gonna get into some football here soon. One thing I did want to ask you, Jeremiah.
Yeah, what's up?
Talk to us a little bit about how Danny and Jaron kind of got involved with Podcast on the Prairie 1. And then after that, give us some quick thoughts on what you thought about Red River, maybe for those who haven't checked out the podcast. And then obviously, if you haven't checked out Podcast on the Prairie about Red River, just go check that out for a full length kind of thing. But just in case people wanted to hear your thoughts on what you thought about that game.
Oh man, so I knew Danny, or we knew rather, me and Braden both knew that Danny was going to be a hell of a player. Like I remember in one of our early podcasts, we're like, who's that young guy? Like Danny Stutsman, like that kid. And this is in a point where, he had enrolled early. We just didn't know all the freshmen yet. So anyways, knew he was going to be talented. Like that was going to be obvious. But I also have been or was able to watch Danny grow in terms of like building his personality through the media, through Twitter, taking pictures of other guys. And I'm like, hey, like I recognize where I fall short, as a host. Like I'm not always the goofy guy. I'm normally the straight and narrow one. And I'm like, we need some more goofiness. Like he would fit us. So it was only right. I kind of snuck it in there. Like I was thinking about this like 2 years ago before like our second season. I just always told people on the podcast, I'm like, I don't know what we're gonna do. I'm like, I got a plan. So the first time I invited Danny on, I'm like, yo, like we should have you on more. He's like, yeah, man, this will be fun. And this was like before he blew up. So he's like, okay. And so I bring him back in the spring. Then I'll bring him in the fall, and then I'll bring him back in the spring. And I'm like, Danny, you're pretty good at this. You should keep doing it. And man, that worked out. And I'm like, bro, like we're gonna add somebody else. Like you can pick whoever you want. And so I knew he was going to pick Jaron, but I was like, yo, you could pick whoever. And I hadn't been up to date with Jaron's story as much as I should have at the time. Because at this time, I'm applying for Edward Jones. I'm like not even really thinking much about football. So Jaron gets on there, and I was kind of nervous because I had seen their videos and stuff, like their ninja videos, but I didn't know how he was as a person. And so honestly, the way that we've gelled over the past few weeks, like since the season started, it has been like, I'm not gonna lie, it's really been nothing but God, because I didn't know that our editing would be as good as it was. Like I tell Alex, I'm like, bro, like I'm not gonna worry about this full time. You figure it out, hire this dude, and let's just make it good. Like I don't care what it looks like. So that looked way better than I thought it was gonna be. Jaron and Danny have been better podcast hosts than I thought they were going to be. I didn't think Danny was going to go off as much as he has over the, like, you know what I'm saying? Like everything is just kind of falling into place. I couldn't ask for a better, I guess, start to the year. We're about halfway through. So I just keep on rolling with the punches, man. It's been fun. What were you going to say?
I want to follow up on that. So you said 2 years ago you had this plan where Danny would eventually be on the podcast, kind of take over that type situation, right?
Yeah.
Well,
before the Venables thing too, like before we even got Venables, I'm like, we need a defensive guy.
Right. Well, what's next? Say in 2 years, Danny and Jaron are both in the NFL. Now you got 4 dudes that aren't playing anymore. You got to bring on 2. You can have 6 dudes on a podcast. What's going on here?
Hey, baby, I already got one in the stable. Don't even worry about it. I already got one in the stable. Don't even worry about it.
Horses in the stable.
Oh, that's funny.
I can't tell you who it is. But
what's funny is when we were in the green room for everybody in the chat and all the people watching, he was talking about how he doesn't keep up with recruiting. And now I'm starting to think to myself, I'm like, Jeremiah's just going to keep up with recruiting and watch interviews to see who's going to take over the pod in like 10 years. Bro. He's like, who's a sophomore in high school right now that looks like they can work a camera?
Man, it's funny. I'll tell you how it worked out too. I can't. It's real obvious, but I'm not gonna say nothing. But I just ran into the kid. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't even like I didn't have to look up anybody. I just like, yo, like, what's your name? We get to talking, da 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 da. And I'm like, oh, you're cool people. And then his dad happened to be there, and he was like, yeah, man, we know who you are. You're hell of a player. And then we probably talked for like, I don't know, 20-30 minutes. I'm like, oh yeah, he's got next. So yeah.
y'all in the comments, you can I want to hear some of your best guesses as to who Jeremiah would have met that he's gonna put on the podcast, who he met his dad as well. So use those clues, and then years from now we'll figure out whether or not they were true or not. But no, that's really cool.
I have my suspicions. I do.
Yeah. Hey, so what have y'all been on, man? What do y'all think about this? Oh, wait, no, you asked me about the Red River rivalry game.
I did. Just give us a quick
Yeah.
snapshot, because I know you probably talked about it in length on the podcast, which I want everybody to go over there and check that out for your full thoughts on it. But just give us a quick snapshot of what you thought of the game.
I thought that we did a hell of a job. Like, honestly, I don't think we could have played a better game, bro. Like, Venables even said it, and I'm glad he said this, because I'm going to tell you what he said in coach's terms, and I'm going to tell you what that translates to as D1 player Oklahoma terms. Okay, so Venables said we may not be the best at any one particular position, but us as a team is a tough match. Basically, he's saying that, like, there's not a guy, like, there's not one thing that makes us Oklahoma. Like, before, there's always been Baker, like, there's always been I don't know, a Perion, like, somebody's gonna show up, like, you're looking for that guy. Let's see, D.D. Westbrook, we're going back to 2016. Joe, somebody, like, they're, our team is made up of a lot of great players across the board. We don't have, well, I guess we have Danny, for a defense perspective, but, like, overall, like, the greatness is, like, spread out. It seems like, even with DG, like, DG's not always the one carrying us. Like, he does a heck of a job, but it's also the play calling. Like, it's also the running backs getting the burst here and there. Like, for comparison, we used to just go out there and throw the ball, and it'd just be the Baker Mayfield show. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of what makes us who we are. So I didn't think that they would go in there and compete the way that they did. If you would have asked me, like, week 1, week 2, like, hey, Jerry, what is, like, your honest opinion, like, locker room talk? I would have been like, oh, we're about to get smashed. Like, I ain't gonna lie. Like, I'm a Sooner fan, but I also love football, and I'm gonna keep it with you straight, But we progressively got better and better and better each week. And after the Iowa State game, I'm like, yo, we had a decent shot. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not, like, overly jealous. Like, I'm not a blonde fan. Like I said, I love ball. And I'm like, we might show up. And like I said at the beginning, to see the boys fight, like, to see them out there having fun, making plays, to see Venables, just moving into what we all knew he could bring to the program. It was a beautiful thing. Like, I enjoyed it as a fan, as a former player. Like, I had never been more proud to be a Sooner than after that day. So I'm proud of all of them. Danny, the shirts, everything. I love it all. The videos, everything.
How do you think he did on the McAfee show?
Bro,
as a guy who's on camera with him often, have you watched the film with him? Where do you think he could have improved?
Honestly, I didn't go back and watch all of it. I only saw bits and clips because I've been preparing for this test. Like, I haven't even been on social media much. But from what I saw at the beginning, I think he was a little bit nervous. I think Pat got to him a little bit. He didn't finish all of the sentences. But more time he spent in there, better he got. So we'll take it back to the drawing board and hope he gets better for it.
Good. Yeah, it's been interesting because I think, so many of those, like, big awards, obviously he got added to the Ben Narek, watch list today. He's been on the Butkus watch list, ever since the preseason. It's funny because so many of those awards are so, I don't know, like, you have to campaign for them. Like, you like narrative driven, the Heisman's the same way. Like, you got to come with a story. You got to be known, before the season. And that's what's so funny, like, how much things change on a dime, right? Because say Quinn Ewers completes that ball, and I know this is not a world we want to live in, but say Quinn Ewers completes that ball. what is that? What does the rest of our season look like? What does it look like right now? Danny's probably not. I mean, I don't even know if that video gets released like that.
No, it does not.
Danny doesn't have a T-shirt line. He's not on Pat. He's not on with Rome. They're still saying Dylan Gabriel's not a guy who can go win you a game because we wouldn't have won the game.
Mhm.
Like, he's not tied for, second best Heisman odds with J.J. McCarthy right now. Like, it's so fickle, right? Like, it's so fragile. Like, the storylines, the sport in general, because it's completely on its head if literally just that ball gets completed.
It is
crazy stuff.
It honestly, it changes our whole mood right now. Like, who knows if I even would have passed my exam? Like, I probably still would have been pissed off,
Right.
and just the world just wouldn't be the same.
Yeah.
But to just re-emphasize your point, Trav, like Lincoln, and I hate to bring his name up so much because our fans, but he was my coach, so it is what it is. He would always say winning is not easy. And regardless of who said it, the statement still stands true, And that's just
really
part of
wasn't
the
easy.
game.
Really wasn't easy when you just try to outscore everybody.
Yeah.
Did you see what Baker said about it?
What?
He was like, because naturally when he was at game day and whatnot, they ask about, he's got so many appearances, right? They eventually it was going to come up. Oh, what do you think? How do you think your old coach is doing out at USC? And he said something to the effect of, like, well, he just tries to score more points, than the other team, and I think he sometimes makes it a lot harder on himself than he needs to. And I was like,
I did not see that.
But it was like it wasn't real critical. You know what I mean? Like,
no,
like it wasn't
true,
like and it was just honest, and it was it was fresh off games where. They're almost losing. They're giving up. They blew a huge lead to Colorado. They're down 17-0 to Arizona State that same weekend. I mean, it's like, so it's funny to me because the winning is hard is absolutely true. Absolutely true. Oklahoma's done it at a high clip for 100 years now. But that doesn't mean, look at last year. Like, that doesn't mean that kind of stuff can't happen to you. You always have to, it's like tug of war, right? Like, you have to constantly be straining and applying pressure and pulling, because the minute you just try and stand up, you get pulled right the other way. Like, it's just you constantly have to fight that complacency and everything like that. So, but yeah, I thought that quote was kind of interesting.
Yeah, more credit. Also, more credit to Venables. I didn't realize how valuable a head coach was until Lincoln left. Because that's all I had. So Lincoln was like our offensive coordinator and our head coach. But like, it seems like Venables has had a smoother transition in actually like being a head coach and not what's the word? Distributing the responsibility, I guess. Delegating. Yes, that's the word I was looking for. Yep, delegating. Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. It's so interesting because he learned. He's got 3 Hall of Fame coaches on speed dial, right? You got Bill Snyder, who he worked for forever, Bob Stoops, who he worked for forever, and Dabo Swinney, who he worked for forever. So, he's learned from dudes. It's just he hadn't done it before himself. And I think last year you saw some of those, some of those learning, curve type situations, some of those early mistakes and things he got tripped up on. But Venables is a guy that I really believe him when he talks about standards and, culture and preparing to a standard. And because, back when he was just recruiting, before he had even coached a game, there were pictures because they really wanted to get back into the Oklahoma high school scene because the previous staff had kind of gotten away a little bit from it. Not entirely, obviously, but they were really, this new staff wanted to make sure, hey guys, like, we're back. We want to make sure you know us on a first name basis. You can call us, whatever you need, right? And one of the coaches took a picture of Brent. He asked if he could use the gym because he got there at like 6 o'clock and he was going to meet with some of the coaches like 7 or something like that. And there's there's BV in like his OU coach's polo, and he's doing like pull-ups in the weight room of the high school. Like he's just getting one in. And I'm like,
there you go.
I'm like,
Yeah.
who is this guy?
That's
like
genius.
Danny talks about how he runs stadiums, at 5 a.m. and whatnot. Like that's the thing is,
and play scout team QB.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jimmy Green Beans.
It's crazy.
But that's the thing. It's like when you hold yourself to those kind of standards, like knowing that he practices what he preaches, I always knew, like, people were like, you can't get better at time management. I'm like, so what? Says who? You can't learn how to manage time better? It's not like it's not like something like singing that you're, largely born with. Like, this is something that, like, you can learn. And that's why one thing that I really like about him is that he's secure in himself, that he can admit when he needs to get better at something. There's not a paranoid bone in that guy's body. And he's okay letting Matt Wells, handle the time because they've got a book on it. And they're like, hey, this down and distance with this much time left says that we need to do this, or says we need to take a timeout here, or says that like he's cool, like passing that off. Like, and I think last year he struggled with that a little bit because it wasn't ever his decision to pass it off in the first, like, ever before.
Yeah.
So really seeing his improvements, God, it's really been impressive.
Yeah.
It really has, especially from like my perspective as a player. Like I can only really tell you about the player side. I can't really tell you what it takes to be a great coach. And so the fact,
you're
even for me, yeah. Like exactly my point. Like I think about stuff like that as a coach. I'm like, man, like what do I say to this kid? And for the first time, I'm like, oh geez, like now I'm in charge of changing somebody's life.
Yeah.
And I'm still figuring that out. So I'm like, man, like I don't know what they're saying to grown men. I'm out here stressing about 12 and 13-year-olds, more power and credit to them. I love it. I'm here for the ride, baby. I'm here for the ride.
That's right. You need to get hooked up with on the old NIL game, saying, hey man, I'll start managing y'all's money.
Hey, we do got something going on behind the scenes. I'm waiting for it to pull through. Should be actually this coming week. As a matter of fact, I need to answer some emails or something. Because podcast on the Prairie, big sponsor.
Okay.
Ooh, okay.
Nothing too crazy, but
Pat McAfee show, ESPN, something like that.
No.
DraftKings.
Bro, we just had an episode do over 10,000 views on YouTube, man. I'm so happy. Like,
yeah.
Nice. Is that your biggest one?
What'd you say?
Is that your highest one yet?
Yeah, I think our recent one just did 15.
That's good.
Yeah.
Wow.
And before that, like our highest was like, I don't know, 4 or something. Like we've hit like the past like 6, I guess since the first one of the season have like just gone crazy. And especially after the Red River, the Texas week, like the one leading up to that, and the better Danny plays. I guess we just needed defensive guys on here, really. Like,
well, and also like you had a couple of really good, like as far as the timing goes, right? Because didn't we go Cincinnati, Iowa State, Texas?
Yeah.
So Cincinnati, everybody's wondering what the hell happened to Jaron because he's coughing up the blood. and nobody's got an idea of what happened to him. And there's no injury report, no nothing. Nobody says anything. BV just says, yeah, he's back at practice. So I'm sure a significant amount of views were like, hey, you know what? We know where Jaron's going to be. He's going to be on the Prairie. So so that was big. And then the next week you get Iowa State, but it's leading up to Texas. So you've got pre-Texas. Now you got post-Texas. So as far as like a 3-week span, thank God Jaron was taken to the hospital throwing up blood, right? Like, thank you, Jaron, right?
Bro,
not to mention the tattoos.
Danny's post on Instagram was like, call me Jaron Kanik, the way I die for this.
Yeah.
I was cracking.
That's so bad.
That was so crazy.
Well, that's what's so funny because you hear like college kids, they talk about like like, man, help me come up with a caption. Like,
Yeah.
we gotta get a good caption. And you could tell, like, going through, especially the players, like going through their Instagrams after game and whatnot, like, it's funny because a lot of them will use like a rap lyric or something like that.
Mhm.
And like, I'll get messages or whatever, and like, what does this mean? Is he upset? Is he going to the transfer portal? And it's like, whatever, right? Like, it's just a lyric, like, because the thing is, I mean, the kids get their pictures back,
Yeah.
like, from the game. So like, they get the pictures, and then they want to post those pictures, and they're not just going to be like, game 4, like they're not going to do that. So like, they're going to come up with something, but they'll say something, man, or like, my time is coming, or something like that, or like just a clock emoji or something. Everybody's like, got to get this guy playing time. 1 foot in the portal. I'm like, oh my god!
Somebody get him an NIL deal quick.
Oh my god! It was like, guys, I swear, man, some fans treat the portal like boogeyman. Like,
bro,
Swear.
everybody was like, "Oh, Chuck and Barnes already gone." You asked me. 1 foot in the portal, they're gone. I'm like,
yeah,
what?
bro. There's already fans in our comments like, I heard Danny's leaving. Danny's like, what? Like what? He's like, I don't even know what I'm doing.
He's leaving.
Right.
He's getting processed. I mean,
yeah, last season the rumor was he was getting processed. We shut that down real quick. Bunch of fools. But
wait, hold on. Before anybody goes on Twitter, I have no clue what Danny's going to do. Like, that was just a comment.
That's not what we heard. That's not the way we're
like, I have no clue. Like, don't ask me. I don't know.
Well, and that's the thing. It's going to kind of be interesting, right? Because, I'm not sure what his draft prospects were before the season. What's funny is, I tell the story occasionally, but I was out to dinner with Pat back in 2021, and out to dinner we were at Valari's after the game, and I asked him. I said, "All right, who is the highest draft pick on the team right now?" And this was a team that had Caleb and Spencer on it. So had he known then what he knows now, I mean, the obvious overall number 1 pick is going to be Caleb. So he would have said Caleb, but he didn't. He said Danny Stutsman, and that was his freshman year. And he literally, 2021, he said, who's going to be the highest draft pick? He said Danny Stutsman. He's like, he's just different, bro. He's just different. And so that's what's interesting, though, is because I don't know what his prospects are right now. I haven't even, I don't look at that kind of stuff for a long time. And I trust people on it that know a lot more about it than I do. But with that, like, especially his relationship with Jaron, those guys are tight. Like, if, another year under Venables' system, he could get even better. I mean, look at the leap he took just in 1 year under him. I mean, 2 years to turn him into a damn superhero. So, it's, I mean, obviously pros and cons, but, then again,
honestly,
big time here this year.
If I'm him, and this is probably what he'll probably end up doing. One, in terms of like being able to spot the talent, man, when you're there every day seeing somebody's work ethic compared to someone you've seen make it, like it don't take long to figure out who can go and who can't.
Yeah.
So that's how we were able to point out Danny too. Like you just know, especially when you see it early. Now guys can develop into the work ethic. Like I was that type of guy. Like if you would have saw me when I first got there, you'd be like, is he a walk on? And then like just progressively, I got better throughout the years. But what was the next thing I was going to say? If I'm him, right, we can submit our names to the NFL, right, and they give us like a scout grade.
Right.
I
Drew
can't
does
remember
all that, right?
Yeah, so it's like they'll give you first round, second or third, or they'll give you what's the last one?
Don't they do it by day or something like that?
Yeah. That's basically what it is. Like day one would be first round,
Day two.
two and three would be day two,
Right.
and then or it's return. Like it's go back. So they only give you 1 through 3, and so that's probably what he'll end up doing. If he has an agent or somebody he's looking at, they'll say, hey, like this is what they said. He'll get that back before the end of the season, and he'll take it into consideration. So if I'm him and I see 1, I'm going.
Of course.
Right.
Like,
right.
As you should.
by Jaron.
Right. That's the thing is, and that's the thing. Like every year, and I mean, I love Steve Stutsman. He's one of my favorite people. Every time I see that guy, I just light up. And so he's got, good guidance, good family, obviously Brent and those guys like got a good support system around him to make those decisions, right? But every year, Jeremiah, you get these guys that are like, man, he should have come back. Like, what is he doing?
Yeah.
There were a couple guys, and I get the coaching transition might have scared a couple of them away. Like, look, man, like I don't know these cats. Like, do I really want to go through learning a new system? Do I really want to go through doing this? That, like, I get that that's part of it. But man, there were a couple I think that went, after the 2021 season that I'm like, oh man,
yeah.
I mean, another year, and you probably jump up a couple more rounds.
Yeah. No, you're right. You honestly, you never know. Well, when I played, I could always tell. And even looking at players now, like I still have that eye. And I always think like how long my eye is gonna last. Because you can always tell up to a certain extent. But no, you're definitely right. And also Danny's young, man. Danny's not even 21 yet.
That's crazy.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm just up here talking, but I guess we'll just see when the time comes, He's got another. Does he have a COVID? Yeah, he has a COVID year, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He's true junior.
He's got like 2 more years to play. If you want.
Wait, does he?
He does, right?
Yeah, he got there in 2020. This is third
His
year.
first year was the COVID year.
Oh, yeah, third year.
Or was it 21?
This is his third year. So he 2021, 2022, 2023. This year is his third year.
Oh, yeah, you're right. So, yeah, really a true junior.
Yeah.
Did he burn his red shirt? Did he play as a true freshman enough to burn a red shirt?
I think he did.
I'd assume so.
I think he did.
Chad will tell us.
I think he played a lot under Grinch. But
yeah, he did it. I'm pretty sure he played.
He's got 1 year after this.
Yeah.
Well, it's not like you need. I mean, I don't know if he's going to come back next year. He sure as hell ain't coming back 2 years from now. Even if he had the eligibility, ain't no way. Ain't no way. But yeah, first round grade. Like, I never know what dude's situations are. Like,
I'm piecing
first round grade.
Yeah.
Appreciate you. Thanks for the memories.
That's generational wealth. Nope. Sorry.
Thanks for the t-shirts, man. Like,
like Jay Hall can be my advisor. I'm out of here.
But also, I mean, not to the extent that like, they were talking about Caleb coming back, but NIL, kind of changed the game a little bit, right?
Yeah, bro.
I mean, there's nothing like first round money.
Enough to say.
There's nothing like first round money so nobody's turning that down, but it makes it a little bit easier to stomach, saying, because back, I mean, pre-NIL, it was like, hey, like I need to declare because I need money. Like I need, like I don't get paid to do this and I don't have enough time for a job because football is so demanding. So it's like, now, at least with NIL, as it continues to grow, especially being such a marketable guy already, it's a little bit different, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. Shoot, Caleb, and I know he's an anomaly, but we're just looking at numbers here. His deal with his NIL deal with Beats, I believe, is $2 million.
That's crazy.
I know his GQ deal, I'm pretty sure it's $500,000. And I'm not pocket watching. These are just like reports,
Right. He started and this isn't even like a joke. Like he started like a men's, like almost like men's cosmetic line or something like that. Like that, I'm sure is doing very well in Los Angeles. People spend a lot of money on that stuff. So I know Rihanna made a pretty penny doing that. So, but yeah, I mean, it's like those deals that they're getting out there are crazy, but he's not trying to get ownership in an NFL team. Don't believe those stupid.
Yeah. I saw that and I'm like, I know this kid.
Not true.
And he would not say like
that's
money.
crazy.
I if there's any kid that I know personally that does not care about the money, it is Caleb Williams. Like, is it nice? Because I mean, the kid, like, put it this way: his freshman year, he had 2 Range Rovers.
Yeah.
His license plate said QB1.
I don't think the kid is trying to buy a new car anytime soon. He's good.
Right.
Like,
I'll never forget. Chip Viney and I had just had lunch, and we were walking through Campus Corner, and nobody's there. It's middle of the week, whatever. And all of a sudden, true freshman Caleb Williams comes pulling down in that like pearl Range Rover with the QB1 license plate on the back. Pulls in, and I guess he was going into, I don't know, a restaurant or something, but he parked right in front of like the Green Buffalo or whatever, and it was like Green Buffalo parking right there. And Chip was like, "Man, you can't park down the road, like park in front of the restaurant. Don't be parking in front of the only dispensary in town. It was the last thing I need, man. It's ridiculous." Oh, it was so funny. It was so funny. I love Chip, man. I miss that guy.
Oh man, Chip was a good one. Where's he at now?
San Jose State.
Yeah, that is
Cardinals.
right. Shout out to Chip,
coaching
man.
corners. So now with Caleb with the money, it's like, when you're marketable, you'd be dumb not to take advantage of it. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But when even in the recruiting process, they laid out their goals very clearly. I'm going to be in college 3 years. I'm going to be the number 1 pick. And
it's probably
I'll be damned. That's exactly what's going to happen.
Probably going to happen.
Hey, look, not even first round. I'm going to be the number 1.
Well, and that's what's so crazy too, is because when, like, the recruiting rankings, like, he wasn't ranked as high as Quinn or as high as Arch or as high as Justin Fields or as high as a bunch of these guys. Like, he wasn't ranked as high as those guys. So it's not like one of these.
I'm surprised because, like, when he first got the OU, I thought it was obvious. I'm like, how could you miss this? Like I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. Maybe hindsight is 2020.
He played at a good football school, Gonzaga.
Right. It's not like he was playing against 2A schools in Louisiana.
Yeah, like I saw the kid and I'm like, oh yeah, that's him. Like he's Like it didn't take me long. Like I'm thinking like second practice. Like that's him. Yeah.
Right. Sorry, Sheila's getting mad at us.
She was like, "Let's talk some football." Okay, Sheila. Okay. Yeah, but it's fine. We're just catching up. But yeah, let's go ahead and get to a little bit of football talk, y'all. UCF visits OU, visits Norman for the very first time. What do the Sooners need to do to get the W? And then we'll do some score predictions as well, and then we'll get to some Q&A after that. And then Sheila, you can ask whatever question you want. So, boys, what we thinking?
Sure. Go ahead, Jay.
I think he may have froze up. Looks like he's trying to talk, but we're not hearing him.
UCF versus OU. I don't know much about UCF.
Yep. So UCF, coached by Gus Malzahn, former home of Jeff Levy.
Berkeley.
You gotta check your connection, man.
Yeah, the connection waning.
He's struggling over there.
I know.
Whoa.
Oh.
You jumped way up.
No, we can hear you.
Am I here?
Okay, or the audio is delayed. One of the two.
All right. He's going to go out and he's going to come back in. But anyways, obvious storylines just out the wazoo. I mean, you've got, Levy was coaching there under Heupel, where he coached Dillon. There are a lot of people saying a lot of mean things about Dylan on the UCF Twitter and UCF message boards and everything like that.
Are they really?
Yeah, there's just a lot of UCF fans. Like, one thing about OU Twitter is there's over 700,000 people on Twitter that are OU fans. So, like, we'll get after you. Well, UCF, I think it's America's largest public school enrollment. So there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them that are really loud, especially because they all started watching football in 2017. So they have no historical context of anything else. But there he is. There he is. And look, it looks like he's in real time, everything like that. But yeah, since you haven't scouted much of the UCF, I'll give you a quick rundown. So John Rice Plumlee, that's the quarterback that just got back. He likes to throw it to the other team, which is good for us because we like to take it from the other team. We're second in the country in interceptions right now. We're the only team with four different players with multiple interceptions. Obviously, Dolby has 2, Gentry has 3, Key has 2, and Billy Bowman has 2. So in the first 2 games where Plumlee was actually healthy, he had 3 touchdowns to 4 interceptions, and they played Boise State and Kent State. So
not very good.
No, in their run defense, they'll get a little bit of help back with Ricky Barber getting back. He's their redshirt senior defensive tackle. They'll get him back in the middle of that lineup, but it may not matter because Kansas ran the ball for 399 yards on them last week.
Yeah.
399 on the ground.
Only had 9 yards passing.
Yeah. So it's – yeah, the rush defense is bad. If there was ever a get-right game for the OU running backs, this might be the one.
Yeah.
This might be the one.
Just picking up there, that's like the first thing that I was going to say. For us to compete where we need to be to get to where we want to be, like Big 12 championship, national championship, bowl game, the run game has to be more consistent. You know, that I've been preaching that since the beginning of the season. So, walk us through
that though, because Tawi Walker leads the team in yards per carry, yards, receptions per carry, receptions amongst running backs. He's got the longest run of the year, the 30-yarder. Like yards after contact, he leads in. Like is it just going to come down to we need better run blocking, our running backs need better vision, and we need a home run hitter to step up and start hitting home runs? What are you seeing from the run game?
It's more so, well, one, when I'm looking at our run game, I'm comparing Oklahoma to Oklahoma. You know, I haven't watched another team in the Big 12. I'm comparing them to what I've seen Rodney Anderson put on film, to what I've seen Trey Sermon put on film, to what I've seen Kennedy Brooks put on film, to what the type of holes that I was out there, you know, and those were top 10 offenses in the history of college football. So my standards are pretty high. And I'm picking apart everything, especially since I'm an offensive guy. So when I'm referencing the O linemen getting better, I'm looking at their consistency in terms of, you know, just repetitively allowing or just doing their job. Like, for example, I saw it up close and personal, like Iowa State. We're down in the red zone. Let's see. In back-to-back plays, they shift defensive fronts, right? The offensive line doesn't get it communicated well enough. I think we gain a few yards, and then the next play, we lose a couple. And then later on in the drive, we get the touchdown pass to Drake, okay? Now, the average fan is going to be like, hey, we scored that game. Good job. When I'm thinking like, man, we should have scored like 5 plays ago. Like, what's up with this? You know? Like that's my thought process. Okay, like yes, we scored 7 points, but that run play that we ran back to back was not good. Like we should have scored then. Like so that's what's going through Jay Hall's mind. Like I'm looking at that type of stuff.
A lot of people, you know, back in your day when you guys were, you know, going crazy, they kept on saying y'all were scoring too fast. You know, scoring too fast. The defense needs some time to rest. So maybe they're just going galaxy brain and going, man, we need to fail a couple times on this drive. Give some defense some time to rest. But
you know what? That's a good point.
do you-
More reps for the NFL scouts to see.
Exactly. So what do you think, if you could boil it down to one thing, what would quote unquote fix the run game? Because Dylan Gabriel seems to be able to find holes. I mean, like he ran for what, $113 against Texas. You know, is it a vision thing? Is it a blocking thing? Is it just a lack of personnel thing? Do we just not have an Eric Gray back there anymore? I mean, what do you think?
No, it's definitely not. It's not the running backs by any means, because I think that Tyree is doing a lot of work for himself. Like, he's carrying people every single play. Like, I remember, and this is what the difference is that I see, and I'm just speaking my experience. I remember one game, or maybe it was throughout the season, like Kennedy Brooks didn't get touched. Like, he didn't average getting touched until 4 yards up the field.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like, I'm not saying like yards per carry. I'm saying getting touched, like physically, like you're not going to touch him until we've already.
Well, that's like last year. OU was second in the country in yards before contact.
Yes.
Yeah, to your point.
Mm-hmm. So if we can get, or yards before, yeah. There we go. If we can get back to that type of stuff, like you see Tyree carrying dudes all the time, and I'm not talking like 5 yards down the field. I'm talking like at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
So I'm being nitpicky. It's gotten us to where we're at, but 6-0 is not 9-0. It's not 12-0 where we will want to be. And so I think it all boils down to communication at the end of the day from the offensive line. That's the biggest thing, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think you're being nitpicky, by the way.
So what?
I said I don't think he's being nitpicky, by the way.
Oh, no.
I think even to the average fan, you know, it's just like this is not the standard at all. I mean, not even probably what you think as you run offenses in 2017, 2018, you know, and so on, even Jalen Hurts and et cetera. It's like, it's just not what it's been. So we know what it needs to get to. But
what do you think as far as the guards go? Like, specifically Caden Green.
Man, I don't even know where to lead off with that.
Because the tackles, obviously, those are two NFL guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like, your bookends are fine. Raim's as secure in that center position as anybody has been in that center position since Creed. But the guards, right? I mean, we've had obviously injuries.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Savion Byrd, you know, was battling out to start there in the preseason and in the fall, and then he gets banged up, and then Caden Green goes in and looks good a little bit, and then Troy Everett goes in, the transfer.
Mm-hmm.
He can play center or guard, but he's a little bit undersized compared to like Caden. Caden comes into the second quarter against Texas and balls out. I mean, takes T'Vondre Sweat completely out of the game the rest of the game.
Yeah.
And then on the right guard, you got McKay Matire that's now out for a couple weeks. And they put in big old Caleb Schaefer that's like 6'5", 350 or 6'5", 340 or something like that, who's played a lot of ball at Miami of Ohio. So it's like, do you think that probably, like, it has to, I imagine, but how much do you think that's affecting the communication, just the lack of availability and consistency that we've had in the guard positions?
Well, when you're looking at college football, if you're not getting a lot of reps, then the game will always remain fast to you. You know, the more reps you get, the more the game slows down, like physically and mentally. I'm talking from an offensive line standpoint, hand placement. What are small things like where can I put my feet so that way the angle that I set myself on is more advantageous to me. You're thinking more than just I have that guy. We're working to the linebacker. Okay, let's get this done. We're thinking more about footwork. We're thinking more about, okay, he's gonna do this. I'm gonna respond with this. I'm gonna make sure I get my left hand to the outside so I can get my shoulder through. Like, you start to think about the smaller details that will be that will allow you to, do your job at an elite level. When you're first out there and you're just not comfortable being out there, you're just thinking like, okay, if I'm the H back, I'm gonna run this rail route. I'm gonna run the wheel. I'm not really thinking about the details. Like, oh, he's probably gonna put hands on me. It's loud. Like it. The pressure gets to you, man. Because I was telling one of my friends, I'm probably talking a lot, but he was like, man, like, and he don't know football like I do, but he's a good time, so I keep him around. He was like, man, like, so what's going on? And this is like at the game live. He's like, so what's going on out there right now? I'm like, you want like the basics or you want like the whole thing? Okay. All right. DG's walking up to the line. He's identifying the front. He's saying 2-2-2, one high, one high. All right. Somebody's up on the line of scrimmage. We're training to the backside. Trade. Okay. We're about to put our hand down. Okay. Defensive front shifts. Okay. Now we're out. Okay. Corners coming up. Hey, out. We got a bump. All right. That's only your job. We're not even thinking hand placement. We're not even thinking angles. And that's all happening within, just a few seconds. So if you're not experienced, you're like, oh, wait. What? Out. What do you mean out? And if you don't know it, oh, bro, you're in for a rude awakening. Like before the balls even snap, like you've already lost.
Yeah.
And if you don't have those reps, man, like, hey, you better start watching more film or something, because it's gonna come whether you like it or not.
And I'm glad you brought up, your halfback role, right? Because how much do you think the run game struggles have to do with like not having like a you or like a B-Will guy, like type of guy out there that can go out and get like open up a hole and like get a block? Like, because like Stogner's a tight end, but like Stogner's not a guy that's gonna get out and block like B-Will does or like you do. Like it's just different. Like, so how much do you think that this team is just flat out missing a guy in that role that you guys used to play?
Yeah, it's a completely different offense. They how do I even describe this to you? So Levy's offense is tempo with not a lot of there's not a lot of games in the routes. Like, and what I mean by that is Lincoln would have a bunch of pick plays, a bunch of crossing plays, a lot of run, play action. Oh, we're gonna set up this 2-route combination, but it's gonna be like there's gonna be a lot to it, And Levy's offense is, oh, catch, ball, pop route, slant route, out route, post route. There's not like it's catch, oh, screen, go, line up, catch, read option, oh, screen. There's not really a lot of build up, But I'm not saying that's a bad thing. That's just how he runs his offense traditionally. Now, does he have it in the bank? Yes. But because we run that tempo, there's not a lot of swagger for the H-back. Is it there? Are there spots? Yeah, but the offenses were completely different, and that's just the cards that Stark has been dealt.
Yeah.
I don't think he's any less or any greater of a player because of it, but his role is completely different than what it was at South Carolina or even the year before when he was still with us.
Right, and that's what's that's like. I'm glad you bring up the three different things, right? Because Lincoln's offense is different than what they're running at South Carolina with them, which is different what Levy's running at. And it's so interesting because we talk about recruiting a lot. Obviously, big pickup today with Michael Boganowski, right? Number 1 player in Kansas, out of Junction City, Kansas. I don't know why was that hard to say. That's weird. But number 1 player in the state of Kansas. We get him over KU, Kansas State, and Florida State. His dad was the other defensive end at New Mexico State, across from Jamar Kane, who was the other defensive end. So I was texting Jamar a little bit today about him. But like, it's interesting because Boganowski, committed because he's like, I want to play in Venables defense. And it's like, it's not like Venables defense is just everybody runs the same defense, and Venables is just better at teaching it. Like it's different. It's scheme based. Like it's they completely ask you to do different things, this, that, and the other. So I don't think there's a right answer theoretically, because if you just execute whatever system you're in at the highest level, you'll usually be successful. But it is interesting, especially when you talk about recruiting, where it's like, hey, this particular player wants to play. His talents will be better used in this system. And it's funny because people are like, man, I can't believe that guy didn't pick us, or oh man, how this
Oh yeah, wait here,
No,
yeah.
it's like-
I'll stop you. I'll stop you right there. Right. So if I'm a tight end looking at our offense right now, and this happens, y'all. So don't think I'm like, oh, like that's not gonna happen, because I did this. Okay, I committed to the University of Oklahoma without ever stepping on campus. I had never even been to Oklahoma, and I knew nobody in Oklahoma. What I did was watch every single game that Dimitri Flowers played, and I said, that's who I want to be. I saw Lincoln give him more responsibility as time went on and his role developed into what it became. And I said, I can fill those shoes. All right. Now, if you look at our tight end play right now, like with Stogg, we were just talking about Stogg. If I'm a number one tight end in the country, do you think you're going to commit to this school right now, looking at Stogg's numbers compared to a number one tight end in the country in college football?
No, but that's what's weird, though, is because
So
Devon
think
Mitchell
about that, though. Think about that. So now in the future, we're like, man, why don't we have a top tight end? Like, where do all the tight ends go? It's like, well, this particular year.
But that's what's crazy.
We did
because Devon Mitchell is like the best tight end in the country. He's committed to us. And then in 2025, we're going to have like 2 of the top 5 tight ends. So is it a specific, like, I don't know, are they different than Stogg? Do you think that they're having conversations of like, hey, look, when you get here, we're going to run the offense a little bit differently? How do you think those conversations go?
That is definitely, that's a conversation too, because there's also some merit in that. That's a good point, Trav, because I don't think that since Lebby has got there, he's had a chance to recruit the tight ends that he wanted. Because I think that Caden, all the tight ends that were there now were already committed before Lebby got there.
Yeah.
So that's also a good point as well. Maybe they're looking to switch some things up in the future.
Yeah, because right now, we just got the one tight end in the 2024 class, and 2023 class, 2024 class, he reclassified.
He reclassed, yeah. Oh, which I met him, by the way. And typically, I'm not a big fan on somebody reclassing forward. More so specifically because like it's very hard physically. And I forget the kid's name again. Do you know off the top of your head?
Devon Mitchell.
He's huge.
He's massive.
Like, well, how are you 6'4", 245 at 17 years old?
Bro, and I watched him play 7-on-7. Like, I went down to Austin to see him play 7-on-7. This dude's like, he's got a probably 33, 34-inch vertical. He's mossing dudes one hand. I'm like,
excuse me, sir? Like,
and he'll be asked to contribute early. So it's like, that's what's going to be crazy is normally you don't see a bunch of true freshmen out there like positionally the smaller bodies, like the smaller bodied positions. You think like corners and things like that. Like I think freshmen have a better chance of contributing because, to your point, the older you get, more fit. Like you're in the strength and conditioning program, you're with Schmitty, like you just get bigger and stronger, over time. And tight end's one of those positions you typically don't see a lot of true freshmen, making an impact.
Bro,
after watching Devon Mitchell,
I was 210 when I got to college.
What were you at your heaviest?
My heaviest was like when they started telling me to gain weight, I gained too much weight. I gained too much fat. So I was probably like 253 in the off season at one point. So by the time I graduated and was like my optimal weight was like 242-ish. I went to the combine at 238. So yeah, but yeah, to see that kid come in at 245, I told him, I'm like, bro, like you might want to lose weight because when you get to college, you're gonna gain weight regardless. Like you're
Well,
not.
he's an early enrollee, as the comments have pointed out. He's an early enrollee, so yeah, he's missing his whole senior year and half of his junior year, and he'll just be on campus getting ready for college ball.
Sheesh.
Yeah, that dude's gonna be crazy. But what was your okay? So you said you gained too much weight. So Grayson Halton came on with us, and he said to gain weight, he's from Cali, right? So he's like, I've never had biscuits and gravy like y'all got here. So I just get he's like, those got me right. He's like, I'll get a whole mess of just biscuits and gravy every day, and then I gained weight. And then Savion Bird was talking about how Oreo pancakes were what he started eating to gain weight. So when you got here and you were, gaining weight, what were you using to gain weight? Was it peanut butter shakes? Was it Was it biscuits and gravy? What was it?
I mean, at first I tried to do it the right way, like the chocolate shakes and everything. But then I came back to Beamer. I was like, yo, like you really want me to gain like 20 pounds? And he was like, yeah. I'm like, all right, bet. My roommate loved buying. For me, it was Whataburger because I didn't have a lot of Whataburger, and also my roommate loved buying those Domino's boxes, like they had like everything in it, like the cinnamon twist and the pizza, like all of that. So, bro, this sounds bad, but I go to the corner, have a good time, have some drinks, come back home. Like I did that a couple weekends, and then I go work out the next day, and I'm like, all right, well, at least I'm putting some muscle on the back end of it. So probably why I wasn't very good at the early stage. I made some mistakes, guys. Like I didn't have very good guidance. I don't know, but it took me about I don't know 6 to 8 months to like lose some of that. And regain it back the right way, and then another year to like actually like turn it into something that looks good. So I had a slow start, y'all, but I made it.
Did Beamer ever, like when you started gaining weight and aka bad weight according to you, what did Beamer say? Was Beamer like, no, not like that, you dummy?
Well, nah, man, like man, I remember stepping on the scale one time. I'm like, yo, like, geez. But I didn't really realize it until like I started taking pictures. Like, I remember if you go back on my Twitter, there's this one picture like me and Rodney. And of course, it's right after we're done lifting. So I look swole, but in reality, I'm just fat. And I'm like, yo, like, who is that dude? Like, who swallowed 2.7? Like, he's you. But Beamer never said anything. He was just like, yo, like, you look slow. Like he said stuff like that. Like he never said like, man, you way too much. He was just like, yo,
like that's crazy. I look slow because the food that I'm eating is fast.
You look slow.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Sorry, coach, I'm eating fast food. Why do you think they call it that, man? That's my bad. That's my bad.
Hey, that extra weight though, that extra weight helped me play some valuable minutes in the run game. So I felt like a lineman.
It worked out for some.
Yeah. Yeah, I really feel like a lineman. That's how
let's get this score prediction down real quick, and then we'll move on to some other things. What's the score prediction for this weekend?
What's the line?
I think it's 19.5.
Yeah, it's been fluctuating between 18 and 19.5.
Yeah,
score prediction in the chat.
I'm going for the way over. I don't know. I'm going 9. I don't know, 9 to 32, something crazy like that.
32-9. Okay.
I don't think I've ever had anybody start with the opponent's score first.
Oh well, I had to because our defense is like that. So
I know, but that's so funny to me. I've never had anybody. Everybody's like, all right, OU's going to score this in a win, and they're only going to allow this many points. You're like the other way. You're like, all right, let's start here. We're only going to allow this, and then I guess the offense will put up some points or whatever.
Bro, it's crazy. No, but like real talk though, it's how I run the podcast now because like we have Danny and Jaron, so like I have to like be defensive minded now.
That's funny. Yeah, I think okay. So you went what 9 to
32.
It's even weird to say it. 9 to
32
32.
to 9.
Yeah,
Yeah.
32 to 9. Okay. 9 to 32. Okay, weirdo. You're like one of those British folks that put the date in the wrong order. I think I said on my OU Insider write up, I think 45-17 or 17 to 45.
That's good. Preston Hodge just said 49-17. And Joshua Ashley said 52-17.
17. Well, that giving up 20 points, man, we don't want to do that anymore. Like,
yeah, bro, that's what I'm like. I didn't feel comfortable going past 2 touchdowns.
Right, that's the thing. Like, that's what's so wild is like we're to a time where it's like, giving up over 20 points. Oh, that'd be embarrassing.
Yeah.
Where like, none of y'all's teams said that.
Yeah. Yo, I was at the shootout versus Texas. One of my friends, he was like, yo, like, what's up with this like 32-35 or 28-32 score predictions? Like, why so high? He's from New Mexico. I'm like, bro, historically this game's like 55-52. Like, we're putting up points, baby, on both sides.
Yeah.
And so now,
well, historically went in the Riley era because y'all set the scoring record like twice.
Yeah.
Like, when y'all were there. So it's like it really wasn't, always like that. But y'all set this game was 12-0, in our lifetimes. So I mean, that was against Vince Young. So it's like it's just funny where it's like, yeah, the shootout. That's why some people are like, you can't call it the shootout anymore because it's not a shootout. I'm like, I don't think that's why it got named that necessarily, but regardless. But yeah, it is a little bit different, right?
Mm-hmm. But I say that because like I can't even say the high scores anymore because I don't even know if our offense is gonna get the ball that many times. Like we scored on most of the drives versus Texas, didn't we?
We scored a lot.
Third quarter was a little rough.
Well, no, not Texas. What was it? Iowa State?
Oh.
It was. I don't think it was.
We've had a couple games where we didn't punt, so
yeah, but yeah, we're not punting a lot, and we're still putting up 30-something points. So to see like 40, 50, I'm like, I don't even know.
The chat brings up a great point, Jesse James, and PSS. It's personal for Jeff Lebby. He's going to be like, if there was ever a game, and keep this in mind, guys. Dylan Gabriel's tied for second in the Heisman odds. You need numbers if you're going to win the Heisman.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Lebby sure would like to have a seat in New York watching Dylan Gabriel up there as a Heisman candidate. I mean, would be his first. So, I mean, this could be a situation where Lebby is dialing it up deep into the, midway through the fourth quarter. We're still seeing Dylan out there trying to throw for 400, 500 yards. You know what I mean? Like there's some different motivations there. Obviously the UCF type situation, but also the Dylan Gabriel Heisman discussion. Because all eyes are on him now. A lot of people that weren't watching Dylan all year, they tuned into Red River and they're like, bro, this cat that just carved up Texas to win the game with 1:17 left and no timeouts.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes 5 for 5. Like, yeah, let's watch this guy this week. There's something to that.
He'll face even more scrutiny.
Yep.
On a national stage.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Hey, but that pressure is a privilege, right?
You damn right. You damn right. Also, here, let me scroll back up real quick. Somebody said, I believe more that it's a Dylan world tour than a Lebby
Yeah,
world.
the Dylan revenge as opposed to the Lebby revenge.
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
Because it fits the narrative of his Heisman campaign. Not only is he winning these games, like he's doing so in Heisman fashion.
Yeah.
Right.
So when you pitch that, whenever they make this video, it'll be like, this is where he was, and this is what he's become.
Well, and also keep in mind he was 0-2 against Tulsa whenever he played them. combined against Satterfield and Cincinnati, he was 0-3. And he obviously didn't play against Texas last year. But it's like, that's the thing. It's like that, to your point, that kind of story, that revenge tour type situation is, hey, not only have I gotten a lot better, if you look around me, I got a little bit different team with me this time too.
Mm-hmm. It has made the team better.
Oh, yeah. And he's been, man, I know GG Rader's been waiting on him to fall off, but, man, he's still cooking, man. We're halfway through the season. He's still cooking.
They're going to be waiting. They're going to be waiting a long time. I'm gonna go 55-17. That's my score prediction.
17, good.
Oh, that's up there.
See, Jeremiah must know something about the defensive game plan. He said 9.
He said 9. He did.
I got faith in my boys.
We're gonna see. Run defense is good. Their running offense is decent. I don't think their passing offense is okay, but depends on.
Gabe brought up a good point. No, Teddy brought up a good point. Somebody brought up a good point. I forget who it was, but it was Teddy today on the radio, where it's like there's a lot of like old Baylor in this, where like they'll see a wide receiver matchup they like, and they'll just send that wide receiver on the route, and the other people will just stand there. Like the other wide receivers won't even run a route. They'll just like watch the other guy because that's where the ball's going. And you can't really do that against our secondary. I mean, you can try, but Woody's playing the best he's ever played. You know, Gentry Williams, I think, looks like a future first-round pick.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Kenai Walker's back healthy. You know, Josiah Wagner's healthy. Makari Vickers healthy. I know he's a safety, but like with that kind of stuff, like if you can find a matchup you like, and you want to go play one-on-one with OU secondary, I'm not sure I remember the last year, Jeremiah, where I said, okay, cool. Let's do it. Line them up.
Bro, I'll tell you my perspective. I used to be nervous whenever our defense played man. Not because we couldn't cover, but because they were taught to be so aggressive. Like we'd always get pass interference calls left and right whenever we play man. And honestly, that came from practice because Lincoln wanted the defense to like play his receivers so hard. And honestly, I think that's why we had such great receivers, because like they would strap us up. Well, I'm talking Holden, and Link would never give us any cushion. Like if you were going to beat Trey Brown or Trey Norwood, like you had to beat him, and Link was going to let them cheat. And so I think that transitioned to the game a little bit. So I would get nervous. And so to see us lock up in man now, I'm like, I'm taking our DBs all day, baby. I don't know what route you about to run, but it's like, what? It's
dude,
straps.
And this is the deepest secondary we've had since I don't know when. I truly don't know when.
I don't think I've ever seen like this. Like ever. Like if I'm sitting here thinking, like if I was scheming against us, I would say attack the middle of the field more, like make Jaron and Danny cover. But even that's hard because you have your safeties coming down.
Yep.
Right. And good safeties.
Yeah, and good safeties. Like not just like you're hoping that the safeties can cover, but safeties who can cover.
Yeah.
And hit.
And hit. Shoot.
Bro, you got that on top of Grinch's defensive mind. Oh my goodness.
Venables head coach at Oklahoma now.
What'd I say?
You said Grinch.
Oh snap! I'm sorry, y'all. Forget I said that.
That's all right. Everybody, calm down.
Cut it out. We're gonna cut it out.
Yeah, bro.
But yeah, I mean, but that's the thing.
I truly apologize.
You're already a year ahead too, right? Because say Justin Harrington comes back and gets a med shirt, if you will. Saul McCullough's back. You know, maybe Danny's back. Jaron's definitely back. And then you got Kip Lewis. You got a killer linebacker coming back. You got Peyton Bowen, who already looks like a star. Gentry Williams is back. Kenai Walker, Josiah Wagner. Like all these dudes are back. And they're still only in year 2 of Venables' system and year 2 of Jerry Schmitty. Like, you start getting into year 3. I mean, when you look historically of where Brent has shown up, like year 3 is really when his defenses like start to jump in the national rankings. Well, now we're a year ahead, but next year, I know we're in the SEC and we're going to be facing different teams, but next year this defense ought to be even better.
Yep.
I'm hoping and praying, and I believe that they will be. It also helps the views for the podcast too. The better they do on defense, so keep it up, fellas.
Content is king.
Yeah, shameless plug. Shameless plug.
Last year we didn't post very many guest speakers because it's tough when you're losing, and so they've made this season much easier this year.
Hey, try and do radio post game shows after losses, and you got people calling in, basically telling you like it's your fault that the team lost. Like, I wasn't out there, bro.
You told me this week that
you told me we would win, bro. I thought we were going to win. We were favored. I didn't know that would happen.
Oh, bro.
You said that he was elite.
I didn't know West Virginia's backup was going to run it all over us. Like, come on now.
Yeah. Hey, that's why I stay in my lane. I stay in the interviewing lane. I stay out the way.
That's funny.
Bro, my bad. I'm sitting here thinking about me saying Grinch. I'm like, man, I haven't done that all season. Like,
it's all right.
I will say, I've been up now for about 20 hours, and I had my exam today. So
20.
Yeah. If you expended some brain power, I'm glad you did it on your exam.
For real.
Yeah, it's 20, Jay, because I woke up at like 3 a.m. and just started studying because I couldn't sleep. So
we need to get you out of here.
I went to Oktoberfest last night, so I slept in a little bit later than my normal 6, 7 a.m.
Yeah,
man, these things, man, they're
is that what you had the beer in?
Yeah, I had a few. I had a few of these, and they're 33.8 ounces a piece.
How was the turkey leg?
Oh, so good, man! I'm a big turkey leg guy.
Yeah.
But it's tough because they've got like those little like ligaments or tendons or whatever. You got to kind of pull those out and keep going in. It's definitely work. There's no doubt about it. It's not just a little like some simple corn dog situation going on, right? Where it's just, nope, you ain't got to worry about nothing. Boom, 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 couple bites and it's gone. No, turkey leg, that's a commitment.
Hey, speaking of fair food though, by the way, you know what I am jealous of? What? Danny and the boys got to go in the fair after the Texas game.
Yeah.
I was so jealous. I'm like, man, like I
start getting sent all these pictures from people that are like, hey, I think I just ran into Gentry Williams outside the fair. I was like, what? And there they are. Everybody's just walking through the fair, eating. I'm like, that's crazy.
Bro.
That never happened when you were there.
No, and I would always say like, man, like we would always leave and the fans would be lined up screaming and cheering. I'd be like, man, like I would do anything to like be here with my family right now. Because they're from North Carolina, and so they'd always fly out, not always have to go back. So
yeah, they were hanging out in the fair, man. They were from hype videos. Once the hype videos were all done, you showered up and throw the jumpsuits on and go enjoy some fair food.
Well, that's fun.
Hey, when do you think we'll get the we're not getting the alternate jerseys this week, are we? Probably later on this season.
I think we might. I mean,
could happen.
We're stacking up some 11 a.m. kicks, right? So it's going to happen at some point during the season because it all comes back to recruiting, right? Recruits love them.
Yeah.
Like when you look at the pictures that Boganowski posted today, his commitment, like 247, all these people, his visit photos are in those Unity uniforms. And they're sharp, and I like that they're student designed.
Yeah.
I like that they pay homage to Prentice Scott.
Yep.
Like, it's not just we just wanted to look cool. Like, it's legitimately like there was a lot of thought that went into it. And people are like, I can't read the numbers. I'm like, bruh, half the people still think that, they still can't figure out Gavin Freeman and Drake Stoops are different people. So, like, I don't want to hear. Oh, I can't read the numbers. You like figure it out.
Yeah.
Bro, I need to get me one. Me and Pat and Creed help design a jersey. So every time we see Joe C, we're like, yo, hey man, like put us on.
Put us
like, what's
on,
up,
right,
though?
come on. They'd be taxing for that stuff though, man. You walked us through. I think it was you walked through like having to buy your stuff and whatnot. How much expensive that was.
I wish. Well, I mean, looking back on it now, definitely worth it. I didn't buy the alternate helmet from our previous one.
Yeah.
And I'm regretting that. Like I wish I would have just spent I think it was like 1,000 or 1,500 or something like that.
But see, that's crazy.
For the helmet?
Well, the alternate one, the red one, our traditional one was free.
I mean, still.
But
I think you should be able to, I think you need to talk to your boy Caleb and you need to say, hey, look, what if we do this? If you get your master's degree, you get credit, like spending credit for your own gear. Like make it education based, make it something, right? Because it'll only take once where somebody comes through and is like, just they got everything, and they're their bags are full, and be like, man, I'm over here spending thousands of dollars for all this stuff. This guy, this nerd over here that spent all this time in the library, not only does he have his master's, he's got all this gear now.
What'll probably happen is within the next 5 to 10 years, they'll have that extra sale.
Yeah.
And a bunch of them will probably go on sale, and I won't be that guy that's camped out, and I'm just gonna miss out and be sad.
I've never made it to the sale. I've had a bunch of people like, you going to the sale? I'm like, dude, I'm good.
What I really need right now, though, I really need a media pass, so that way I can just be on the sidelines whenever. That'd be ideal.
Yeah, the sideline, you got to be shooting. You got to have a camera.
Really? I'll use my phone.
They might treat you a little bit differently than most media.
Yeah. They need to get you a pass.
But yes, typically the people that get to go down on the field have to have are the photographers.
Yeah.
Everybody else is just up in the press box.
I'm like, Mike, bro, like I say nothing but good things about the program. Hook me up.
I remember when I met you outside, you had thrown a different shirt for our Theta Sauce thing, and you had just got done doing your little like ESPN little interviews and stuff like that, and you're like, yep, I got to say the right things, man.
I remember that. That's when everybody thought Lincoln was on a plane going to LSU or something.
Right.
Well, I was just looking at those pictures though. Good time fly. I was like, what?
We're getting old.
Let's fly.
Josh Pate has a photo vest and photo badge on. You can see it in his pictures when he posts them on the sideline. He's got a photographer badge on. But yeah, just have him say you're just like, I don't know, part of the recruiting staff or something like that. Like something like that.
You the podcast on the Prairie, the hottest podcast.
Because if you're pressed, they're gonna be like, hey, like you're working, like we need to see you working, like we can't be hanging out. But if it's recruiting or something like that, then let's probably let you hang out.
Bro, I'm always recruiting, bro, because I didn't run into that tight end on purpose. Like it wasn't like, oh hey bud, congratulations, I'm Jeremiah Hall. Like I didn't go up to him and introduce myself.
Right.
A coach.
You don't have to around Norman.
Yeah, I was introduced to him. Like, hey, J Hall, come talk. Like, that's what they'll do, bro. Like, they'll be like, hey, come talk to him. Hey, come talk to him.
Yeah.
Hey, coach, good to see you too. I'm busy right now. I'll holler at you later. All right, let you go. Like,
all right, yeah, see ya.
Least they can do is a sideline pass.
I'm like, bro. Hey, now you see my point.
You need to tell him that you Danny's manager. Be like, look, my boy was on Pat McAfee this week. He was on ESPN, Jim Rome, hottest commodity. He got shirts out. Okay, you know what it is. Podcast on the Prairie, baby. Get me right.
Hey, y'all gonna you coming down to the last Bedlam game?
When is that? Is it November?
I mean, it's not till November, but
yeah,
I just didn't know if you were going to come down from Indianapolis.
Is it November 4th?
Yes.
Bruh, that's my first game.
So likely not.
Nope.
I mean, I'll be there.
I'm coaching my varsity basketball team this year, Jerry. So that's our first game. Of course. That's how it works out.
And you think they'll put that back on the schedule at some point?
Not as long as Gundy's employed there.
Yeah.
No.
No.
What do they see in him? What?
Hey, he's their winningest coach all time.
He's their best coach that they've ever had.
I mean, yeah.
It's just a different world over there. It's a different world. Different standards, Jeremiah.
He'd be one of the worst coaches we've ever had.
Nah, I'm giving him a hard time. They do compete.
Over the last 10 years, they're the second winningest Big 12 team over the last decade. Second.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sitting here. You know, I always looked at Oklahoma because I don't think. Well, let me not start talking because I definitely lost to him my last year. But you know, I have that like a little brother mentality, so I'm like, Mike Gundy falls in that category.
Hey,
but
you gotta put them in their place. They was talking. They've been talking. They talk all the time.
They stay talking.
Speaking of that Oklahoma State game my last year, that is one that like, man, like if there's any game in the world I wish I could have back, it's that one.
It's that one.
Yeah, that in the Rose Bowl. I didn't play in the Rose Bowl, so I guess the Rose Bowl would come first because that was to the national championship. But after that, like when I played in, oh dang, it's that Bedlam game.
The Rose Bowl.
We got jobs. We got jobs, man. Picking up flags. No pass interference on that. You know, in the end zone there. The fix was in, man.
Man,
that was crazy. Well, guys, I don't know. We have time for questions. We've been at it about an hour and 40.
Oh yeah, bro. I could do this all day.
I know. You need to get some sleep, dog.
Yeah, Jeremiah's got to go to bed.
Pass out.
I am exhausted. Though. I got a flight tomorrow at 11. I still haven't packed.
Woo! Yeah. You do need to get some sleep. Hey, let's get this one question from Eco Jar. I don't quite remember what you said last time you're on here, but I feel like it may be different. We'll see if you say something different. But what was your favorite or most memorable game time moment at OU or favorite?
Oh yeah, EJ definitely beating Texas in the comeback game, 2011. As soon as the game was over, man, it's funny because I was just looking at it right before the shootout this year. But right after the game is over, I go and I pick up the flag and I just start running, man. I just start running. Like I don't think I've ever smiled so hard looking back at pictures. I was so happy just to be there in that moment, to see the fans run all over the field, to cramp while I'm running with the flag, to plant it, to wave it. Even when I planted it, I messed up because it got wrapped around the pole a little bit, so it wasn't as smooth as I wanted, but it was a good time.
Well, I remember when you posted that picture, you know, when everybody do it, like you, Jamar, Caleb, like a bunch of former Sooners, right? And I messaged you. I was like, I've never seen a happier person in my life. Yeah, your smile was 2 feet wide. It was like it looked like a cartoon. The smile was so big, and you're like, I've never been happier.
Oh, what was the next question? I didn't even see it.
Just favorite moment in general.
Oh, okay. I saw it come up on the screen, but no, Trav. Yeah, like I smile now thinking about it.
And then you talking trash in the Alamo Bowl the night before on the Riverwalk.
Oh yeah, that's what somebody's question
was. Legendary.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that was fun too. That was actually Coach Stoops' idea, and we told him to go out there and say it, but Stoops was like, "Nah, one of y'all grab the mic. I don't want to say that." And then Pat was like, "Jay Hall, you grab the mic." And then I was like, "Man, I don't know." And then Caleb was like, "Nah, you're Mr. Podcast guy," and I was like, "All right, let's do it."
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Well, cool. We're at $140 now, so I think it's all in our best interests to wrap it up.
Yeah, man. I appreciate y'all having me on, man. Shout out to y'all in the comments for staying on all night.
Yeah, appreciate y'all. No doubt. Appreciate you for hopping on with us, man.
Yeah, brother,
Always
great
fun.
opportunity.
No problem. It's a pleasure. Hey, the next home game I go to, I'll come up there and chop it up with y'all pregame.
Please do. Please do. We'd love it. Or postgame. We're at O'Connell's postgame too. So just holler at me. Just shoot me a text. We'll figure it out.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir. We appreciate everybody for coming out. Again, thanks, Jay Hall, man. You're welcome back anytime, brother. Just let us know. Hopefully, like you said, we get the win this weekend. We'll see if it's 32-9, 55-17, whatever comes of it. But yeah, y'all make sure y'all go out and subscribe to Podcast on the Prairie if you're not. Make sure you follow them on Twitter as well. Follow Jay Hall on Twitter. I'm sure most of you already are. Jay Hall, you got anything for the fans before we head out?
No, well, I want to say just thank you for continuous support. Like as a former player, like the word former is scary. And so to see the love still be there, I'm grateful. So that's all I got.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All
We'll
right.
see y'all
Appreciate
next
you guys.
Boomer.
Sooner.
Yes, sir.